Hello, boys and ghouls. Welcome to episode 133 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason, and tonight I'm joined by Mondo.
Hey.
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 And Jody.
Hello.
Hello. How are we all doing tonight?
I am very tired, but I just point out I have this comfy Me Undies hoodie on that is keeping me happy. If everyone can go out there, if you actually go to Me Undies / Dads from the Crypt, you'll get a 404 not found page. Yeah. So if anyone out there from Me Undies is listening, let's make this shit happen.
Yeah, we could fix that 404 page right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with them.
Sweet coupon code. They do
leisure clothes.
They make comfy ass loungewear. Me obviously started out as an underwear company at comfy ass underwear, and you can get everything from briefs to boxers to jockey straps to thongs, whatever you want, Jason. You can put on that body of yours.
I'm looking for a new thong.
Hey, you know what? Don't knock it till you tried it. They're comfy, and you can also get. I have a subscription to them because as I lost weight, I just get a new pair of underwear every month, and then a larger pair goes in the trash can. And they do have really cool prints. Like I have a Grogu one. I have one with just otters in space.
You have Grogu underwear?
Yes, I have a Grogu underwear.
That's a mental image I'm going to savor.
And they have, I can send you pictures, but that's going to cost you $4.99.
Save it for our only dads.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to charge you $4.99.
That's for that top tier for the Patreons.
Okay. Jody, how are you?
I'm all right. It's been busy today. This is just one of those days that I've been working like from the time I woke up until just about 5 minutes ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, but don't you wake up at like 4:30 in the afternoon, though?
No. Not that late.
What time did you wake up today?
When did I wake up today?
Yeah.
It was about 10. But also, to point out, I went to bed about 5:30. So,
Jody also is a night owl, so.
Yeah. Nice. So it's not just sleeping till 10. It's being. I'm just on the wrong schedule. Like I am somewhere in Europe right now, or maybe the other way. I don't know. I hadn't clocked.
No, that's what. Right now in Europe, it's 9 hours. Germany's 9 hours ahead. So yeah, man, you should just get a job with the European office. Start working European hours.
I can do it. I'm already on their hours.
Yeah. Hey.
Shorty, I need an update on what your kids have been cooking this week.
Oh gosh, this week we had country fried steak with mashed potatoes and gravy on top. That was incredible.
That picture looked amazing.
Let's see, we had some white chicken chili yesterday. What was lunch today? Okay, so my daughter made barbecue, and my favorite thing to do when I have barbecue is to make like a southern taco. You put pimento cheese, barbecue sauce, and coleslaw inside a soft taco shell. Best stuff. Love it.
That's all. That sounds great. Now, when you say barbecue, what kind of like meat are we talking?
As a Mexican guy, that's some white people shit right there. Just
saying. Yeah, no, 100%. No, this is not a taco. This is a southern thing. Like it has nothing to do with actual tacos. It's just a tortilla.
Do you put ketchup on it too?
Oh gosh,
mayonnaise. Lots of mayonnaise.
Hey, there's coleslaw. Coleslaw has mayonnaise in it. At least the good kind does.
Yeah, I like quality mayonnaise. There's a former president of the United States that likes his steaks well done with ketchup, and I wish we could just forget that man existed. But
we had to talk about him last week, and
I didn't get a chance. So
it's not going to get any better this year.
Yeah, 2024 is going to be exciting.
So off topic, I was just in Havasu. Doing work, Lake Havasu, Arizona, which it's kind of weird because the casino we're working with is on Needles, California. So you have to take the ferry over to get to Havasu, or you can drive around the lake and it's an hour and a half. I took the ferry. So we walked to this little bar and me and my coworker got a couple drinks, and I saw a martial arts school next to it. I'm like, let me see if this is a place I can come train out when I come to town. It's a karate studio. So no jiu-jitsu. And in the front window was a mannequin of Donald Trump with a sign saying "Make karate great again." And I've never wanted to dojo storm an academy and beat up the instructor so bad.
Now, do you get to actually like fight with the mannequin, or is it just for display? Like, can you beat it up? Because that might be like
a good point. It's in pretty good shape, though. But yeah, if you could just fight that mannequin every day, yeah, I'd be down for that.
Nice.
Those little fucking hands.
All
I
right.
don't even care if anybody has little hands, but like when someone is that vain and so self conscious about it, and he sucks as a human being, it's
Just asking for it.
says
All right. Tonight, though, we're taking one last look, at least for a little while, into the Black Mirror.
one more important thing before we start. Can we talk about Jason's lack of a mustache?
Yeah. Okay, my dad advice is when you're going to trim your mustache, triple check which guard you're using.
Yep. Yeah.
Because once you do that first initial zinc, you're like, oh crap, I used the wrong one. You can't. Yeah, you just have to go do the.
When I first started growing a beard, I had a pretty good one going, and I went to just kind of trim up the strays, and I did the exact same thing.
Me too.
Wrong guard,
Yeah.
just chopped a chunk out of it.
Well, and if you do your mustache, you have two options there: either to fashion it in the style of a 1940s German dictator, or just shave it off. And I believe you chose the right option.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, my mustache goes rather quickly, so like by next week you will notice.
Sure. And I'll be the first to say, though, that was a stylish mustache that motherfucker ruined for all of us. Like, that son of a bitch.
Of all the things he ruined.
And you want to know what? Adolf is a cool name. I like that name. And guess what? Not anymore. I don't like it anymore.
Yeah. You used to, but then you read it.
I never did, because World War II is way before my time. So we're not all in our 90s like Jason.
I remember that war well. I was there.
I remember my grandfather telling me, because my grandfather fought in World War II for the Allies, and he was a first generation immigrant born in the United States, but he's from Germany. His family's from Germany, and he had, I guess, a cousin or uncle named Adolf that changed his name before the war.
Totally fair. That's a fair move.
Yeah, he just like, I just don't want to even be associated with that name, which is good for you, man. Like,
all right.
Now that we got the fun talk out of the way.
Yeah. It's my job to bring us down, Mondo. Okay. So speaking of happy fun times, we're talking season 2, episode 4, Black Mirror, White Christmas, which came out on December 16th, 2014. And it's one of those things where, and I want to talk to someone who is well inundated with British pop culture about the whole phenomenon of these Christmas specials. Because this came out like almost a year or so, a good while after episode 3, season 2. So it's really kind of just thrown in with season 2. It's really just the Christmas special.
Yeah, I never thought about that, because I think Doctor Who used to do that.
Yeah,
Sherlock and the original Office from Europe did that too. It was 2 seasons and a Christmas special. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good thing.
No, it's fun, but it's an interesting difference in how they do their programming, and like a lot of shows will just out of nowhere have a Christmas special. And I don't know if that's just like the way British TV is programmed or what, but I might be having a discussion with a entertainment reporter from the UK about Black Mirror. So be tuned with that. Stay tuned. But again, we're talking the episode of White Christmas. Jody, give us a plot synopsis.
Okay, so what we have here is perfect for us because it is an anthology within an anthology. It's an anthology episode of the anthology show. And it starts off, we meet our 2 main people, Joe and Matt. They apparently have been living in this cabin for 5 years together, but have barely spoken to one another. Joe is played by Rafe Spall, and Matt is John Hamm. And
John Hamm.
Man, he is so good in this.
What a man, what a mighty good man.
So mighty good ham?
I don't eat ham.
Of course you don't.
Sure.
You can eat me, but
just some Manischewitz and some gefilte fish.
All right.
Hey, Manischewitz is delicious, but I will not vouch for gefilte fish.
It's not.
It's
terrible.
Manischewitz?
Yeah, it's terrible.
No, that's fine, dude.
It's like sugar water.
It is sugar wine. Yes.
If I drink it now, it'd kill me. But
yeah, I mean, it's like what every young Jewish man gets drunk on the first time. But
did you know that Pinot Noir only has about 3.4 carbs per 5-ounce serving? So we're sipping on some Pinot Noir tonight.
Okay,
we're being fancy for our Christmas special.
I made a steak and mushroom soup the other night, and but I make it almost stroganoff style. with Krevy Cream. So I'm like, you know, go well with this, a red wine.
There you go.
And then for my birthday, my wife made a keto pizza.
Oh, nice.
And then yesterday, tonight, we had a keto lasagna.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Did you do anything special?
I went to 3 jiu-jitsu classes and had jury duty. So
Sounds like an intense birthday.
yeah, I had a great time. Jury duty just dismissed me, went right to the fucking gym, got my workout in. Later on the evening, said, I'm going to go back and got another workout in. And that's one of my favorite things in the world to do. So I can't complain and got to hang out with my family. So yeah, man, I can't complain.
There you go.
Oh, and I had a beer at my favorite brewery. So yeah, fuck, it was a good day.
Awesome. All right, Jody, commence.
All right, back to the plot synopsis. So we've got Joe and Matt. They've been living there for a long time, but they've barely spoken to one another. And Matt tries to strike up a little conversation. And in order to do that, he starts telling some stories about his past, how they ended up in this place, which we don't know what this place is or what they're doing there or why they're there. But part of what led him to be here.
And it's important to note that they're like in a cabin. They see lots of snow outside.
Right. Yeah, they talk about the snow outside.
I think it is Christmas Day.
Right.
So he's
and
making
you kind of get, at least for me, the intro to the whole thing kind of felt a little dystopian, like they were like had to be there because of some situation, and we'll find out more about what's going on. But it just has this feel of like something's off in the world, and that's why they're in this place.
Right.
And so Matt starts telling some stories about himself, and so and how he ended up here. And so Matt used to lead a community of men who were kind of sad men who didn't know how to pick up girls and could not get dates. And so for the Black Mirror angle here, this guy has an eye implant or his eye is a implant. I didn't get exactly, but anyway, he's got this thing in his eye that allows John Hamm to communicate with him, along with a group of other guys who are watching all this unfold. And basically, he gets to do the Cyrano de Bergerac thing. So this guy goes out to the club, and John Hamm is whispering in his ear, telling him what to say, what moves to make, and how to pick up girls.
Yeah,
it's
they can all see what he's saying.
Yeah, yeah. And so they can all see through his eyes and communicate without anyone else hearing him. So the only time that it can get weird is if he talks back to them, because then no one can see it. You know, like when you hear someone talk or you see someone talking on a Bluetooth thing, but you don't realize they've got a Bluetooth thing in. It's that kind of deal. And so, this is somewhere between like pickup artist culture and then like the Cyrano de Bergerac thing. You know, he's helping him, but also it's in a sleazy kind of way. Like, it doesn't matter what happens as long as you win. And so you can be manipulative. You can, have this cheat. And the guy starts having moments where he feels a little regret that he's being led to seduce this girl, but it's not him. It's these other guys in this other room.
And the John Hamm's character is basically a voyeur. Like he does it for his own personal gain too, because he wants to see where this leads, and that's how he gets his rocks off. It's pretty despicable.
At first, I thought the other guys there were just there to watch, like they were paying to watch. But then I realized they were actually like involved in it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that like he had like prepared bits and speeches. So he's like, "Oh, do this speech, do this bit." So like they were like, it wasn't just off the cuff. They've been practicing this.
Oh yeah, no, it's 100% pickup artist stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so he does find a girl that he likes, and he goes through all these manipulative things. Paying attention to her friend. They're using the eye stuff to like search people up so that they can find out who they are and inject personal information and stuff in there. So it's very much a cheat for human relationships, and it's at an office party. But anyway, he gets alone with this girl and he's talking to her, and I think she goes to get a drink, and he starts having a conversation back with John Hamm. And I don't know, the character has a name, but he's John Hamm. And so he's having a conversation with him, and it looks like he's just talking to nobody in a room. And the girl sees that. And right away, she invites him to go back with her to her place. And John Hamm tells the other guy in the cabin, like, I didn't watch or anything, but yeah, they absolutely watched. These guys are all voyeurs, peering in on these encounters and things like that. Except for this one doesn't go the way they expect, because once they get there, she pours the dude a drink and says something to the effect of like, "I'm so glad to find somebody else who hears the voices too. I was taking my meds, but I've stopped and now I can hear the voices again." Turns out she has poisoned the drink, poisons the guy, poisons herself. They both die. And John Hamm and his little group of perverts all scatter and like try to delete all the evidence. So that's our first story of stuff happening that he relates to Joe there. Do we want to stop there, or do we want to keep on going with the other semi stories?
Yeah, we can do a couple quick comments.
Yeah, because it's like 3 separate stories within this wraparound. So
yeah, I really enjoyed this part. I read a biography of this guy who ran like a pickup artist thing, who's also like a rock and roll writer, a well-known rock and roll writer. And I really enjoyed the book, just seeing like the inner workings of how these people think. So it was really kind of interesting. And I saw that, that was really big about a decade ago when this came out. So I thought it was very interesting to see them take that on, and seeing John Hamm, just he can do anything and be charismatic in it. So he fit that kind of skeevy but still somewhat suave manipulator character really well. And then a lot of things I started noticing in this episode is that it's kind of the culmination of the first 2 seasons, and there's a lot of references to pretty much every episode. There's at least something. So one of the guys who's watching, his screen name is I Am Waldo.
Yeah, I caught that.
So that was
I saw somewhere where Charlie Brooker thought this was probably the end of the show, because that's how shows work in England all the time too. They're like 2 seasons with 3 episodes per season, and then that's it. Like that's the whole show.
So yeah, I didn't see where this was going, because she's talking to him when they're just kind of chit chatting about like how she's thinking of leaving the company and she's not sure if she should do it. He's all like, "Oh, you should take the leap and follow your instincts and everything." And he's really just trying to talk her, get into her pants and get her, start being adventurous. But he doesn't know that she's having some mental health breakdowns and is encouraging her activity unwittingly.
Taking the leap in this case was stop taking your meds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when she saw him talking to himself, she thought he was schizophrenic or thought he was something like that, and said, "Oh, this guy has the same thing I do. I'll make him better too by killing him." And I think the story was fantastic. I just think it took a little bit too long to get there.
Yeah,
because I could once they saw that scene where she was seeing him talk to himself, I kind of knew right away where it was going, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It went logically where it's supposed to go. I just think it seemed like it took a little bit long to get there. They could have shaved a little bit of time off and saved my my precious adult time.
I thought he was going to like expose him in his group and stuff like that. I thought she decided to set him up, was going to try to prank him. I didn't see
that's what I picked up on. I thought that in seeing him talking to the voices in his head, I thought she got like wind of the whole scheme. Like maybe other people had done this, with the whole like guys talking through the ears, and so she was getting ready to like set him up.
Yeah,
I didn't catch the like she was also having a breakdown.
So we eventually find out, spoilers, that this is kind of his side job, his side gig. The John Hamm character. Do you think that there is a wide network for this job, or if it was just those like 10 people that he's helped in the past do this?
I don't know. Those pickup artists got a whole lot of people involved in that when they were going.
Do you mean in reality of this universe?
He played the character incredibly well, incredibly skeevy, and like all those pickup artists, he did the old classic pro wrestling heel thing of he thinks he's in the right and he's providing a service, and he defends it throughout as he's discussing it with Matt.
Yeah. And just to kind of round out a little bit, so this whole episode is directed by Brian Higgins, who also did the Black Mirror White Bear episode. In this segment, Harry, the main guy, is played by Rasmus Hardiker, and he has done a lot of animation and video game voiceovers. Very long resume. The main woman, Jennifer, is play Natalia Tena, and you've seen her a ton of places. She's in John Wick 4. She's Osha in Game of Thrones and Tonks in the Harry Potter series. So you can already tell that this has definitely got a much more well-known cast. They were able to get some bigger names.
Yeah, this is the point we started picking up Americans into the cast here. Like, there's still a lot of British actors, but I mean, just John Hamm himself being in this. Yeah. And then the next season, once we switch back to the show again, it's when it premiered on Netflix, and it's almost all big name American actors after this.
Yeah.
An interesting inversion of Tales from the Crypt, where it went from the American show to being filmed in England, where this is going from England to America. So, a little synergy there. All right, why don't you do the next segment?
All right, so like I said, I really enjoyed that segment. I thought it was really well done. And then it just goes right into the next one, where John Hamm starts talking about his former job. And his job was to train what they call cookies. So what that is, I feel like I have to explain a lot for this one. Like, it's very obvious when you're watching it, but like trying to talk about what it is hard. So they take a person's thoughts, memories, personalities, all this, and create a virtual clone of all of that. So it is a thinking, sentient computer code AI that is based on your brain. So like when it separates from you, it thinks it is you.
It's like you could download yourself into your Google Home or Alexa, and then
Yeah. When they showed it too, because the woman's going in for an operation, and you see her like, "Oh no, I'm still awake. Stop!" And then you realize, "Oh shit, that's her second conscious coming out of her." And I thought that was actually one of the darkest things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. Well,
it gets worse.
Speaking of dark, the reason why this clone of her was made was basically to act as a personalized Alexa or Siri or whatever. Her job is to control the house and like put on music that she likes and make food the way she likes, because she knows herself better than anyone else. And so having this little AI version of herself can personalize her house for her. The thing is, though, because she's sentient, nobody wants to do that job, right? Just spending your time turning the lights on and off and toasting toast the right way. And so basically they torture her because they have the ability to change time in this virtual world. And so John Hamm's character, he's setting this up. And at first he gives her a week that goes by in a couple seconds, but it's a week to her. And for that week, she's had nothing to do. She's been all alone. She's like, I'm kind of going crazy here. And, but I still don't want to do this job of being a personal assistant. So he's like, okay, let's give you 6 months. And he cranks this dial. And for 6 months, basically, this little AI clone person who is sentient, who thinks she is the human, is in solitary confinement, basically, in a like white void.
Well, and she doesn't get hungry or need water, so there's no stimulation there.
No sleep.
No sleep. They don't sleep. And that's like, holy shit. I couldn't even imagine.
6 months of constant consciousness with nothing to do and no one around you. Just, it's torture. It's or as Joe says, as Matt's describing this to him, it's slavery, because these little people are people, but they're also code. And so it's rides that line of, are they really torturing somebody? But if it's sentient, maybe you shouldn't torture AI because, it might come back at you. Like this is how Terminator started, isn't it? Like they just kept doing bad things to the robots until the robots finally had enough. This is exactly the kind of situation that leads to Terminator. But anyway, she relents after the 6 months, gets used to her new life being a light switch. And John Hamm tries a couple of his creepy pickup artist moves on the real version of her before he leaves the house. So that's story number 2.
Yeah, this one I probably put as the weakest, only because it's more just to explain more of the world and what's to come and everything. It's more just kind of a expository exposition thing than the full tale in the way.
Yeah, like plot wise, it's really short. Like world building wise, there's a lot happening. Right. Plot wise, not much happens.
But it's very necessary for what we see later on. Like if they don't have that explanation later on, we'd all be like, what the fuck is going on?
but it isn't like a fully formed segment in a way. Like if you were to make this into like, if you could make this like a full on movie, this would be the one you want to expand to make it a full
Yeah, I can see that
segment. So it's like,
and we're talking about this like a movie. I should point out this is an hour and 15 minutes long,
right?
So it's movie length. Like I don't know if they aired it with commercials on the BBC. I don't know how British TV works. But if they aired it with commercials, it would have been a full like hour and a half or plus movie.
So if you're gonna make this into a movie, you could expand this one and make it a more complete story. And I'm not saying anything wrong with it. I'm just saying if you were thinking of it as a segment of anthology,
no, I thought it was really. I think it was probably one of the darkest parts of this whole thing, though. This whole little like torturing an AI person, just it's dark.
Yeah. So this is the woman is played by Oona Chaplin. She was a major character in Game of Thrones. She's the one who marries Robb Stark. I
Robb Stark, yes. One of the most brutal scenes of the entire freaking show.
Yeah.
I won't say anything else. But
you can spoil it.
I purged so much of that show from my memory because that last season was so bad.
Red Wedding.
No, this is like, this is
Red Wedding.
She's the one who gets the knife in the pregnant belly during the wedding.
Red Wedding was the episode that actually got me hooked on Game of Thrones because Kel was watching it on on HBO after that was like season 3 or 4, I think, maybe season 3, and I was trying to catch up. I started catching up because I walked in and watched an episode. I'm like, I don't know what just happened, but I need to go back and watch the entire series.
I just remember watching that episode, and there's no music over the credits at the end of that one because it ends with Caitlin Stark getting her neck slit, and there's it's just silent credits, and I just remember sitting there. Even though I knew it was coming because I had heard of the Red Wedding from other people who had read the books, and it's still stunned.
Has there ever been such a piece of media that was ingrained in like our culture, ingrained in our zeitgeist, that fell off a cliff and no one it's kind of crazy. The show just ended like 5 years ago, and no one talks about it anymore because of how bad that last season was.
See, I'm going to be the one who said I didn't hate the last season. But
I'm actually with you.
It's not at the same quality as what came before.
I didn't hate it, but when you look at how high of a bar that series set, it fell off a cliff.
I haven't watched an episode of Game of Thrones since the finale. It's like after that, I was like,
I haven't gone back. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I've never had an inkling. Like even a show like Seinfeld that had a very contentious finale. People still watch. I still watch Seinfeld all the time. It's just on.
Well, and I keep thinking to myself, like, I need to go back and rewatch Breaking Bad because it was so good. I can't wait to do it again. I never have that thought about Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like, even though I loved so much of it, like, I never think I want to go back and watch it.
I think it's once you know how it ends, and it's kind of unsatisfying that it's like, why I'm like, it was part of the anticipation, the excitement was trying to figure out what was going to happen and see all these different angles as they developed. So I'll probably never go back and watch it. Speaking of Seinfeld, though, Jason, do you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Not regularly.
Okay, this is the last season, and the last actually thing you'll ever see Richard Lewis in. Yeah, because he's in the season. Before the newest episode, they put an in memory graphic of Richard Lewis. So rest in peace to Richard Lewis,
star of the Mick Garris episode, Tales from the Crypt Roll. I was watching a clip from that just because.
And a guy who's battled addiction and depression and wrote books about it, and Billy turned his life around for the better. But basically, the season is Larry gives a woman a bottle of water at an election in Atlanta and gets arrested. So he's dealing with all these lawyers and all these plots are coming in and out, and then he missed like his court date or something. So I think the end of Curb Your Enthusiasm is going to be Larry David going to prison, like just to match the ending of Seinfeld.
There we go. Yeah. Or it's going to subvert it, and he's just going to get off at the last second.
Which I'd rather that. I'd rather they go that way. I'm hoping they don't do the Larry goes to jail.
Yeah. Even then he runs into the Seinfeld cast in jail.
You might that might be the ending. That would actually, I can see that. I can see him doing that.
Yeah. All right. Moving on, Jody.
All right. So our final segment, Joe finally starts to open up after hearing Matt tell these two stories that basically reveal Matt to be a horrible person. Like John Hamm is so charismatic that it's easy to miss, but like he's awful.
This is a great example.
There's one thing we do need to mention is that as part of the fallout from John Hamm's involvement with the pickup artist thing, his wife gets mad at him and kicks him out of the house. And there's one thing that they can do is they can block each other. This is something they show early on in the episode, where you can like put someone, basically you're putting someone in timeout by blocking them, and they just become static. You can't really see anything about them. You can't hear them. They're just,
Yeah. So the eye implants that we got introduced into the first story, everyone has them, right?
Yeah.
So everyone in society has these eye implants, and because of that, they've all got a computer in their brain, and they can basically like blur out a person.
Yeah,
so they can't be seen by that person, and that person can't see them.
Right, and you can like set it for like 5 hours,
and usually that's how it does it. Like, okay, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'll block you for an hour, and for an hour, you all cannot interact.
This whole conversation at the table, though, from a job we don't understand, it's just a more proof as to why you just should not really talk to your coworkers. I'm okay keep my coworkers, and my friends. Like, my coworkers don't need to know that much about me unless they cross that friend threshold, and they get a little bit more. But I was reading this, I'm like, this is why I've never like gotten chubby with anybody at work. Because people will tell you some weird shit sometimes you do not want to hear.
So anyway, John Hamm.
So whatever.
John Hamm has revealed enough that Joe starts feeling comfortable, and he reveals that he also got blocked by his fiancee Beth. They fought after, like, they had a house, some friends over, and they hung out, and then afterwards that night he finds a pregnancy test in the trash and goes and says something to her. He's excited about it. He can't wait to be a dad. She, however, doesn't want to keep it, so they get into a fight. Joe doesn't come off great here, but it's
he doesn't have a rational conversation about it. He starts calling her names. Like, he goes right to the get very toxic very quickly. And not to be political, but woman's body, woman's choice at the end of the day. That's what I feel about it. So, like, you can definitely have a conversation about it, but I don't feel like calling someone a bitch because they don't want to carry a baby and have it and raise it, like, is not okay.
Yes, and his fiancee Beth obviously agrees that it's her choice, because she then blocks him. And this is not a short-term block. This is like a long-term block that becomes, because he continues to try to follow her and stalk her and see what's going on with her, he gets arrested. And he gets what's that?
She moves out.
Yeah, she moves out, she leaves, but then he gets arrested stalking her and gets like a government block. And the government block is like a permanent block where he can never see her, never interact with her. But also,
I think she pulls out it's like something she initiates, almost like a restraining order at that point.
Right. But anyway, so he is fully cut off from her at this point. But he continues to kind of keep up with her and stalk her. The blocking thing also works in photographs and everything too. Like, so he just keeps seeing, like, every now and then he'll catch the blurry image, like the pixelated version of her, and he watches her and he realizes she's still pregnant. So she has not terminated the pregnancy. And then he follows her to her dad's house and eventually finds her and a baby there, which he can't see because that block, the like restraining order type block, blocks off all children too. So he can't see the child. And so for years, every year he comes back to her father's house to keep an eye on this kid because he wants to see the kid grow up. But of course, it's just a blur. And he starts leaving little gifts for her. And eventually, the fiance Beth, she's on is it a train? There was some kind of big accident.
Just a train derailment, I think.
Yeah, and she dies. And when she dies, that also, he sees her picture up on the TV as one of the victims of this accident. So he realizes the block is gone now because the block was for her and she's dead now, so there's no longer a block. So he goes back to her father's house and the little girl is standing there. She's got his back to her. And he goes to talk to her and says, like, "Hey, sweetheart." And she turns around and she's very obviously Asian. And the couple of Joe and his fiance, neither one are Asian. But one of their best friends from work is. And so he realizes this baby was never his. It was always her co-worker's baby. And that's why she had left him and She wanted to keep that relationship going. Anyway, so Joe snaps at that point, and he goes inside and finds her dad in the house, and she's recently dead. And he sees Joe standing there and says, "What are you doing? Why are you here?" And Joe freaks out on him and ends up killing him by beating him with a snow globe. And
the snow globe he intended to give to what he thought was his daughter.
Right, yes, it was supposed to be a gift. And so he bludgeons him to death, and the little girl is just left there in the house by herself. And at this point, we start to realize that the environment here that John Hamm and Joe were sharing is not a typical cabin. Things have been, if you've been paying attention, things have been changing throughout the episode to the point that this place has become the cabin where Beth's father lived.
Well, he brings up halfway through, he goes, "Has that clock always been here?"
Right.
And then
Yeah,
you see
Joe
in
starts to notice some things.
yeah, then you see in the father's house that clock is on the wall.
It's like a
Right.
cutting board with the same food on it.
Yeah.
Right. So things have slowly been becoming this, and Joe starts to realize this and asks Matt, what is going on? Why am I here? And Matt basically tells him, "Well, so do you confess that you killed your almost father-in-law?" And Joe eventually says, "Yes, I confess." "What happened to the girl?" "Well, she stayed in the house through Christmas, and then when the next day she realized that her grandfather wasn't getting up, she went out to get help and maybe made it 30 feet away from the house and died."
When the grandfather's sitting there dead in a chair, blood coming out of his head, and it's not very graphic,
Not
but
graphic.
he's obviously dead. When she walks up and she puts like the little Christmas card she made him next to him, I was like, that's rough.
So the little girl wanders to find help and maybe makes it 30, 40 feet away from the house, and you can see her body from inside the house. And then we realize the cabin has completely changed into this. You can see the little girl laying outside. And once Joe is confessed, Matt stands up and says, "Hey, I told you I could do it. I told you I could get a confession out of him. Take me out." And then Matt just disappears, and Joe is left stuck in this world, and he can see the little girl outside. Then we go into the real world, because this entire thing has been one of those cookies from the second segment. And the Joe that we've been dealing with has been a cookie of the real Joe, who has been arrested for the murder of the father and what led to the little girl's death. But he wouldn't confess. He wouldn't say anything. But John Hamm going into this fake world, convincing him they've lived there for 5 years because they sped up time. That was his way of getting out of punishment for the sex predator thing that he had been doing previously that led to people dying. And so he was doing that as a way to not go to jail. And so they said, "Okay, so yes, you have done this for us. You've worked this off, but you still did the thing that led to 2 people dying. And so basically we're going to put you on the registry." And what the registry is in this world is a block on him and everybody else. He cannot see a single other person, and no other person can see him other than that blurry thing. So he leaves the police station. He's free to go, but he cannot interact with a single other human being. Meanwhile, real Joe gets told that his cookie confessed and he's going to be paying for his crimes. And the cookie gets tortured by having to live in that cabin where the little girl is outside his, I assume probably his dead father-in-law is somewhere around, or almost father-in-law is around somewhere. And they speed up time so that every second that passes is 1,000 years for this guy. And they said, let's just leave this running over Christmas. So he's going to spend thousands upon thousands and thousands of years in this virtual world, basically living with his crimes. And that's the end of our happy episode of Black Mirror.
It's almost a
for everybody.
Yeah, it's almost a I guess commentary on capital punishment in a way, saying that because the whole idea is like this cookie, it feels like it's a sentient being, but it didn't actually commit these crimes, right? It didn't physically commit them, but the conscience.
So why is that? It's tricky.
Yeah. So why is that getting punished? It's very it's a moral dilemma.
They don't consider an actual thing.
So they're torturing what they call lines of code by making them spend thousands and thousands of years, while real Joe is in prison. But so is the torture just a little bonus just to have fun by torturing this guy? It kind of feels that way.
Yeah, 100%. Because, like you said, she asked, should we shut him down? That's when the guy says no. Like, because it's almost kind of sadistic. And I'm not a fan of punishment in real life, because I don't feel like I should be allowed to have someone else's life in my hands, no matter like what they did. Like, not saying, it's a weird thing. So I kind of felt, not gonna lie, I kind of felt for Joe there at the end, because I was like, fuck, not for him, but for his avatar or whatever. Because I was like, yeah, it's the same conscience, but it didn't physically create the act, and now it has to go through this torture that the real Joe or Joe, that caused the act is going to have a harsh sentence, but not torture like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brutal ending. I'm a little confused by John Hamm's punishments with the whole blocking everyone, because like, how is he supposed to function? Like, he can't go to a grocery store. Like, how is he supposed to pay for anything? Or how's he going?
I don't think they care. Like, I think that's part of the punishment is you're going to have to survive on your own with no human interaction.
Yeah, there's self-checkout, and I'm sure, like, I'm sure, like, you can go have an app for Uber and call an Uber, and they're just not going to be able to see you. It's going to say this person is blocked. Do you want to accept this ride or some shit? I don't know.
Like, how's he supposed to go to a doctor? Like, there's like,
the guy sucks. Like, did we? Yeah, like, I don't think they care. I don't think they. Like, when you're in the register, it's almost like you're banished from society because you're such a bad person.
Right.
I think, and the register also reminds me of like the sexual predator registry we have in the United States, and like, there are, if you are on that registry, you can't hand out candy on Halloween. You can't go to certain places.
Well, that makes
and I think it's just expounding upon that.
But I feel, but at least they can like still do normal societal functioning. Like, they can go
to a degree, though, because I mean, if you're on the registry, you can't get jobs, you can't rent houses. Sometimes,
still,
like, there's a lot of the world is cut off to you. So I think it's just taking it to its extreme.
Yeah, it's definitely the extreme part. And also, I noticed that his character was red, so people know. So there's one point where he's like walking through a square with like all these booths, and there's a guy kind of looking at him. And what I thought was about to happen, they were about to beat him up and saying, you pervert or something like that. And they're all about to like beat the shit out of him. That's why I thought the ending was going to be, because I don't know if did anyone pick up, you know the guy I'm talking about that kind of like gave him a look or something like that? He wasn't there.
There was definitely just a little bit of like when they saw his blurry whatever of himself, some like disdain for that guy, like immediately upon seeing him. So, and again, it's probably related to the registry of if you know somebody's on that registry, it doesn't matter how they got there, you're going to look at them badly, just going, "Oh, you're on that," because you can get on there for like peeing in public when you're 22, like drunk after a concert. You can be on there for life.
Hold on a second. That actually is not. That actually was debunked by lawyers. They can't do that too. They will not put you on a sexual offense if it was something like that, because it wasn't an intentional predatory act.
Okay, well that may have gotten better over time, because I think that's what it used to be.
I think because I remember Horrible Bosses. They make a joke where Charlie Day, that's why he can't get a good job, and why he's getting molested by Jennifer Aniston, and he I think that I remember when that came out, like someone like on Reddit or something did a little lawyer here, this is how that case would really go.
Sure. Okay.
You definitely it's definitely take it seriously, but it's not
right.
It's not crazy, but I do like, it's almost like the Scarlet Letter, right? Like you're branded for life now as this terrible human being. And to be fair, again, not a fan of capital punishment, but if we want to brand sexual predators or something, I'm okay with that. Like, why not? I mean,
this is just a heartbreaking scenario all around. I did like that they used the blocking technology to keep the daughter's identity.
Yeah,
mystery.
That was cool.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like a mystery you didn't know was a mystery until it happened. I was like, I remember watching this. I vaguely remember bits, but I did not. I totally forgot about the daughter reveal. So that like floored me when I was watching that.
I think this was the first watch for me.
This was for me. I watched the original 2 seasons, And then for whatever reason, I dropped off, even though I love those first two. So
Me too.
everything from here on out is all brand new. So that's exciting. I'm excited about that.
I know I
Yeah.
stopped after watching this one, and all I really remembered that was that they were in the virtual world,
Mhm.
and John Hamm was like setting him up or whatever it was. That's all I remembered. So it was good to be able to watch an episode with mostly fresh eyes.
Nice.
So again, I liked that how they used the blocking technology as a distraction.
And to tie it back into Tales from the Crypt just a little bit,
Mhm.
they did a very common thing that Tales from the Crypt did by utilizing at the beginning a very small set with just two actors and let them really just chew the scenery and do their thing. And I think that was actually one of the biggest strengths of the episode is them just the interaction between the two main characters.
Well, and this whole episode, the segments frequently had some Tales from the Cryptiness to them. Like it felt like that first segment. I'm blanking all of a sudden.
That could have been Tales from the Crypt episode.
Yeah,
definitely.
It could have been a Tales from the Crypt episode.
Except for she'd have been a werewolf or something.
Right.
Well, in Harry Potter, she is a werewolf. So there you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, that 100% could have been a Tales from the Crypt episode. The final one where he's looking for his daughter, has the big twist reveal, commits a murder, and then is tortured forever for what he did. That's 100% Tales. Like, this is the most classically you're getting punished, and the punishment is maybe too much for what you did to deserve it, but yeah, it's what we do.
You're just almost Tales from the Crypt, but just somehow bleaker.
Yeah.
Dark.
In Tales from the Crypt, you would have just gotten murdered at the end, and here you're alone for eternity.
If someone was walking around dressed up like a chicken, you could cock block them. Yeah, no, okay.
See a chicken, a big blurry chicken walking around.
Yeah, I cock block that guy because I don't like people who dress like chickens.
Oh my God. So Joe is played by Rafe Spall, who has some great credits. He was one of the doctors or scientists in Prometheus. He was the villain in Jurassic Park: Fallen Kingdom. He was also in David Bruckner's The Ritual. It's a fantastic movie if you haven't seen it.
He played a T-Rex? That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he played a T-Rex. The one that's wearing
Ritual has one of the best monster designs I've seen in anything. It's so cool.
Ritual kind of flew under the radar when it came out. I remember watching it on Netflix and just being, I love that movie.
Yeah,
that's
that was
cool.
Great.
That alone.
Then the character, the actress who plays his wife, Beth Jeanette Montgomery. She has been in the show New Amsterdam. She was in Entourage, and for all of us horror fans, she was in Wrong Turn 3, Left for Dead.
Yep, she was also in the show Salem. It's Salem witch stuff, but like everything was real. It's kind of fun.
It's not real,
but yeah, she's in it. I like her.
But yeah, this was a great wrap up for the first two seasons. Like I said, there are a lot of Easter eggs for the first two. Like there's some news stickers that reference the woman the murderer, White Bear that we spend all the time with, and the also mentions on the television mentions the Prime Minister from the first episode. Yeah, there's just a lot of little things. So it's a great way to wrap it up. Again, this could have really been almost a movie. It pretty much is. Just slightly short of what we're used to. Yeah, I feel like it's a great culmination of Black Mirror.
And I think it was watching this one with completely fresh eyes. Like, I have enjoyed rewatching these Black Mirror, but I remember just enough of them to kind of take the edge off of them. And so seeing a brand new one so you could get hit by everything that happens in the episode, like, fresh for the first time, I really enjoyed this one. It's going to be a lot more fun exploring ones I haven't already seen.
I don't know if I'd use the word fun, but yeah, I get you.
Well, yeah, it's I get to experience these episodes the first time.
I know what you mean.
Well, hey guys, guess what? We did it. We did the first two seasons of Black Mirror, and we're still here. We're still talking to each other.
We're still
need some
it's pretty
chocolate and to go, get a hug with some puppies or
yeah.
So
honestly, after watching one that I haven't seen before, I'm ready for more. Give me more of this. I want more of it.
Jason, I've not listened to the newest episode of Bloody Good Horror, but did they answer your bathwater question?
I haven't listened to it either. It's not that. I guess it's on early release. But
it's on the Patreon release. Jason asked a question about whose bathwater you drink, which is just fucking gross, and got called out for
context.
hold on. one of our longtime listeners, Tommy, goes, based on the questions he asks his Patreons, this is a mild, easy one.
For context, they're
There's one
talking about
thing
the
Jason
movie.
loves, it's fun questions.
For context, they're talking about the movie Saltburn, wherein which a character does slurp up the bathwater of another character. So
I'm just not going to watch it because that is disgusting to me.
It's a good movie. I like that movie a lot.
I'm not going to doubt
I haven't
that.
decided if I'm interested in it yet or not. Like,
I think it's worth it. It's.
Do you guys ever watch Impractical Jokers?
I have a few times. It's
Yeah.
one that I've watched when I've been in a hotel room.
It's my comfort food in hotel rooms. I kind of fell in love with the show. But there's a scene where the guy is behind the counter as a maitre d', and they put these old dollar bills in water, and he drinks the water. And I can't watch it. I almost vomited. Something about like drinking dirty stuff, like I cannot handle. I cannot fucking handle.
Money in particular, like money is so nasty. Like every time I handle money, I feel like I need to go wash my hands because I used to work at a restaurant where I would be like food prep and cash register, and so I'd wash my hands like 400 times a day. And now anytime I touch it, I feel like
cash isn't a real big thing anymore. But when I was a young man working at Del Taco, my first job, and then working at Target, so many people would come in and pull fucking sweaty ass money out of their socks, out of their bras, and I don't give a fuck who you are. That's gross.
I used to work at Sonic, and so that's outdoor. Like you bring their food to their car, and everyone in their car feels like they're in their own little domain that isn't affected by what's on the other side of the glass. So people would roll down their windows, just like a cloud of smoke hit me in the face. Women would reach into their like nasty southern heat 95 in the summer day bra and pull out this wet money and give it. It was gross. I didn't last very long there.
I've had two $50 bills in my back pocket now for like a week because I was going to pay my buddy to do my breaks and not being able to do them. And like I'm just debating throwing it away because it's like I'm like this is kind of gross. Like, or maybe I'll run it to the washing machine first. I don't know. Like,
give it to an ATM. It doesn't care.
That's a good point. I can just redeposit it back into my bank. Yeah.
There you go.
That's what Jason's thinking.
Digital money.
All right. Let's do our episode rating. Jody, what do you rate this episode?
This is a 5 out of 5 for me. I loved it. It may just be the first time seeing one that I haven't seen before, but it's great. Everything about it. I have zero complaints.
Mondo.
I think this was actually my least favorite episode.
Oh, wow.
When I say that, I think the lowest one I've rated, another one is 4.5. So when I say it's my least favorite, I'm by no means knocking it. And, you know, and again, I've said it before, but sometimes I think it's just, I had a really busy week ahead of me and I watched this on a Sunday and I was just, my mind wasn't 100% into it. And I was kind of in that mode of like, let's just get on with the story. And I felt it dragged to places, which kind of, it's rare during Black Mirror that I find myself looking at the clock, but I found myself looking at the clock during this episode. And I'm not saying it could have been me, not the episode. Still a great episode. I'm probably still going to go 4, if not 4.5. So I'll bump it up to 4.5 because that's still a great episode. It's probably my least favorite one.
Well, let's do a caveat there. Did you watch the Waldo moment episode? Because you were on the last episode.
Oh no, I've not watched it yet. I was going to watch it. It's just time is limited right now.
It's the only one that we've rated anything more or less than like really good.
Yeah,
you know, I
was mediocre last week.
Yeah, I remember watching that when it came out and not being that big of a fan of it.
Yeah, that's
because I think I hated the cartoon character, if I remember correctly.
Right,
like it's just annoying.
It's probably only one of the first 2 seasons that's mediocre. I would say at the most, at least.
But even like I would say, even mediocre in this series is probably better than what other series churn out as their top tier content.
Yeah.
So
I mean, to be 7 episodes in, and we've had one episode that was like a 3 out of 5, and everything else has been almost 4.5, 5 every single time. That's not bad. That's a good track record.
Yeah, my daughter started watching Cabinet of Curiosities.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "What do you think about the show?" I was like, "Well, you can listen to my thoughts if you go back and listen to the archive of Dads from the Crypt, and that's the only way you're gonna hear about it." But yeah, I told her the same thing. I said they're all great. I think there's one episode that we didn't really care for, but the rest of them were all good to amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you have that track record, like I'm not going to complain that every now and again there's one that I don't love.
Yeah, I'm going with Jody. This is a 5. This is like it said. This is like everything we love about the first 2 seasons. You know, wrapped into one Christmas present for us all.
Shitty. We're having sad Christmas this year, guys.
Every Christmas is sad for me.
Okay.
No, kidding. I was kidding.
You can celebrate. Like, I'm an atheist, but we celebrate Christmas because it's just a holiday to hang out with your family and give gifts.
Oh.
So I've been debating just switching to Hanukkah because I like that in the whole 8-day ship. That's just too much. I don't know if I can handle 8 days of having to give people gifts and hang out with them.
Okay. We're not going down that road, but
I need to come out with my own holiday, right? Like, is there like a technically
Festivus.
Christmas is a pagan holiday, but that's a whole other story.
Have a little Saturnalia every year.
I mean, it says in the Bible that you're not supposed to bring a house in your tree and decorate. It's just fucking in the Bible not to do that. And Romans were like, nah.
As we do.
We killed that guy. Let's throw these guys a bone here.
God. All right, Mondo, give us your song of the day.
All right, so I have a really depressing song this week because I was driving home today from Arizona and it popped up on my. I just had I do a combination of listening to podcasts and listening to music because I love podcasts, I love books on audiobooks, but usually I'll listen to like an hour and a half of that, and then I need to switch it up and listen to music for a little while. So this just happened to pop on random, and I think I might have done this band once before, but the band's name is Xasthur. Xasthur, noted for their being one of the early American, I'd say one of the first ever one man black metal bands. The one guy did the whole guy named Scott Connor, who went by Malefic.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned this guy before.
Everything. Yeah, and there's an album. It's funny because I was trying to find it on Spotify, and it's on Spotify they misspell it, but it's called To Violate the Oblivious. On Spotify, they name it To Violate the Obvious. Fucking annoying. But the song on there is one of the few, I think one of the only music videos he did. And the music video was a cinematographer friend of his that basically was chronicling the lives of homeless people in the Bay Area, where I think Alhambra is where he used to live. And it's very, very bleak, but the music just fits with it and creates kind of this great sonoscape. And I don't think there's any vocals in it. It's just dissonant, discordant, sad music. And the song is called Walker of Dissonant Worlds. Because when I heard that today, it popped on, I was like, oh shit. I was thinking about at the very end where he's walking around and everybody's blocked. I could almost hear that soundtrack playing in my head during that. I was like, okay, that's gotta be my song of the week. So it's Xasthur off the record To Violate the Oblivious. Song is Walker of Dissonant Worlds. You can find it on YouTube if you want to watch the video for it. It's not a real pick me up though. It's gonna, but that's kind of the music I really like. That kind of is depressing as it can be. It just makes me happy because I mean, it's kind of like being able to. Misery loves company, I guess, is a good way to put it. Like when you hear someone who's pouring their emotion out their music, sometimes it helps you compartmentalize and process your own. So. And then also Xasthur, if his later stuff, he started coining his band Doomgrass and playing this really kind of intricate fingerpick style. Not for everybody. Some I like, some I mean, he's very talented. Some I like, some I don't. But the last record he did, Inevitably Dark, had some black metal moments on it again, but most of it now is just ambient or acoustic.
Nice.
So check it out.
All right.
Smash that like and subscribe button and check out that.
See, Mondo, I got to do my first song of the day last week. I've never had that opportunity.
What'd you pick? Because usually, even if I can't listen to the whole episode, I'll jump to song of the day to see what you guys pick. Because I'm always excited. What'd you pick?
So because Waldo is a cartoon character who's a real life character, I went with a song by Gorillaz, and the song is off their new album called Cracker Island. So I think when you listen to the playlist, you'll probably be able to spot the me and Jason moments.
Oh no, it's kind of fun though. Like it's except for I fucking hate Morrissey. Morrissey will pop there. But however though, I like Jason's story behind why he picked that song. So that's what makes it cool. I always think about that for half a second before I hit skip. And, in the Gorillaz, one of the founding members was the guy behind Deltron 3030.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely adore Deltron 3030.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Jody, you got some horror news you want to go over?
Yeah, let's talk about some releases. Coming out, well, I mean, technically tonight, The movie from Blumhouse, Imaginary, is coming to theaters.
Has not been getting good buzz. Has not been getting good buzz at all.
It's not look good. It looks.
I thought it
like
looked pretty fun. Like,
well, it reminds me of like Benny Loves You without what makes Benny Loves You fun.
Like a not fun version of Benny Loves You.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's about a killer teddy bear kind of ish. It's probably about trauma and grief or something like that. But technically, it's about a killer teddy bear. So that comes out.
This reminds me, we talked about Naked Gun and Leslie Nielsen, I think, a couple episodes ago. Maybe we did, or maybe I'm imagining Fever Dream. They're remaking Naked Gun with Liam Neeson.
Oh, really?
And at first I was thinking like, but then did you ever see the movie Ted?
Yeah.
When he goes through Ted's checkout line with the box of tricks and he goes, I read these are for kids, but I am not a kid. Can I still purchase and enjoy these? Like, I'm like, holy shit, he has great comedic chops. So I'm actually pretty excited to see what they do with him.
Well, I mean, Leslie Nielsen was a serious actor before Airplane. Yeah. So, I like this idea. Bring serious actors into spoof land.
If there's not, if I don't get to see Liam Neeson naked in a full-sized condom, like a full-body condom, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Okay.
That's from Naked Gun 2, by the way.
Oh, is it? I just remember I have a very vivid memory of being a kid and watching. I guess
very confused by that scene because I was.
I always remember the scene when they're in prison and he goes, "These steaks overcooked and the wine chilled where it's supposed to be room temperature."
Well, okay, and then I very vividly remember being with my dad watching that movie, and I'm like, "Dad, what is happening?" Like everything else I thought was funny, was great.
Well,
Dad line fumbled around.
The line I didn't get as a kid, but as an adult, I think is one of my favorite lines in the whole series. Is they're looking for the murderer's guy, O.J. Simpson. They're looking for his. Hey, he killed 2 people and got away with it.
Rewatching these with O.J. Simpson is a weird experience.
They're looking for him, and someone's like, I think he went to the red light district, and Frank goes, "Why would you go to the red light district?" And I forgot his boss's name. He goes, "Sex, Frank," and he goes, "No, thank you, we don't have time." But well, I appreciate the offer, but we don't have time.
Oh, so good.
They did. If you want to see some other wacky Leslie Nielsen stuff, so he's actually was a prominent figure in pro wrestling for like a couple months.
Really?
So at Royal Rumble, God, I think it was 92 is when that Flair won. The best one ever. 93 was Undertaker versus Yokozuna, and Undertaker got beat in a casket match. So all the heels come out and beat the shit out of him, throw him in the casket and sit on it, and then it explodes. You see his body like floating up to the sky, and he's on the screen going, "I will not rest in peace." And now he's a racist. But him and Kane, man, what the fuck, guys? But they did the whole thing where they're trying to find the Undertaker, and they hired Leslie Nielsen to find him, because I think it was around the time that Naked Gun 33 and the third came out, and they're actually pretty wacky skits because Leslie Nielsen dude, Dracula Dead and Loving It is his interactions with Van Helsing in that, like when they're trying to have the last word and they keep just popping in the windows to get the last word in. God, one of my favorite. I love that movie.
Love all those. All right, other releases. We're also getting Love Lies Bleeding coming out this week. If you don't know what that is, it's the movie with Kristen Stewart and the really buff lady and like a lot of violence. Looks good. I'm into it. It's A24.
Someone I know has seen it and they said it was very good.
Is that theatrical?
Rachel or someone?
Yeah, theatrical. I think Rachel is. I think she got a preview of it. We also have a movie called Damsel coming out. It's got Millie Bobby Brown, and it's like a I don't know, Ready or Not with a dragon kind of situation. Like it's she's trying to survive. I guess the damsel is trying to save herself, like a damsel in distress kind of situation. I don't know. Millie Bobby Brown, dragons and monsters and stuff. Sounds fun.
Is it set in like medieval times or is it modern?
It looks medieval.
Okay. I haven't seen the trailer yet. I saw like a headline on it.
Yeah, I think it looks like it could be fun. I don't know if it's going to be fun, but it looks like it could be. And it's coming to Netflix. I don't have a date though. So this is great news. I'm being very helpful here. Other news: the new Ghostbusters movie is coming out on March 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into it. Like I enjoyed the last one, even though it was mostly like nostalgia stuff. This one, I'm excited because it's actually gets a chance to move on from the nostalgia stuff a little bit.
It's in New York.
It's in New York. It's got the feel. Did y'all grow up watching the real Ghostbusters?
Oh, yeah.
The
Yes,
cartoon.
yes, without question.
This feels like a real Ghostbuster. Like a ghost has come and he's freezing everything, and there's like dangerous ice. That feels like an episode of the show.
Yeah.
So I'm into this. I mean, Dan Aykroyd actually said there's some scary stuff in it, like genuinely scary. And Dan Aykroyd's a weird dude, but I also think if he says it's scary, it probably is at least trying to be scary.
Yeah.
And did you see the Slimer popcorn bucket?
Yes,
It looks so cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to take my daughter to see it. She loved the first one, and then I'm gonna try to watch the Afterlife one, or that's the last one.
Yeah, Afterlife.
That one, then we'll go see this one. So I'm really excited.
Afterlife is extremely family friendly, like probably more so than any other movie in the series. But
yeah,
I liked it. Another movie coming out on April 12th, Arcadian. And it's Nicolas Cage basically getting to star in A Quiet Place, but with Nicolas Cage as the lead. Nicolas Cage and like three kids. There's this catastrophic event, and there's monsters, and they only emerge at night. And they live on a farm, and there's unrelenting attacks. It sounds like A Quiet Place, but it's Nicolas Cage, so I'll give it a watch.
I want him to play every character, including the monsters.
Sure, yeah, let's go for it. All right, another one coming out that same day, April 12th, is going to be Mondo's favorite movie of the year. I already call it. This movie is Sting, about a giant spider, I think. Like, the trailer just got released recently.
I think I watched that trailer. Didn't bother me that much. It was that movie Infested.
Yeah.
That turns a bunch of small spiders. I know a giant spider doesn't exist. I think it doesn't. But I don't know that.
Have you been to
I watched the trailer for this one earlier today. It looks pretty decent. It's this kid walking around in her house, and she's got headphones on, not really paying attention, staring at her phone. And while she's walking around her house feeding her dog, there's this body being dragged across the floor from room to room, and she just doesn't see it, but it's still alive, and it gets dragged into a vent, and then you see it getting wrapped up in spider. It's a giant spider movie, but it looks really upsetting. So
I would not be watching this movie.
I don't. Yeah, I didn't think so.
But yeah, Infested looked really
Infested.
good.
Yeah, I saw the
preview.
Fuck no, zero chance I'll be watching that thing.
I think I'm at exactly the right place with spiders, where like in real life I don't actually mind them that much, but in movies they can be just scary enough to kind of prickle that like scary sense in me. So I'm fine with a scary spider movie because it's not going to traumatize me, but it might actually work.
I love arachnophobia. That's what
I love arachnophobia.
Oh,
never seen it. Never will.
All right, another quickie here. Maxine got a release date finally. Maxine with 3 X's. The sequel to both X and Pearl is going to be releasing in theaters on July 5th. I could not be more excited. I loved both of those other movies.
Apparently Ty West said that this movie is inspired by Lucio Fulci's New York Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
it's set in the 80s. Set in the 80s in New York. It's got that New York, like the New York in the movies we grew up with, like the 70s and 80s, like sleazy New York. So
the way it should be.
Very excited. New York can't be clean. I want it to be nasty.
The one that gets flushed with toxic waste every midnight.
Yeah, that one. All right, a couple other quick things. This is probably marked as the thing that sounds fun right now, but will be completely like played out by the time it comes out. They are making a movie about a character from the viral Willy Wonka experience.
Oh yeah.
The thing in Glasgow, it's funny. Like, it's really funny to watch a video about what that was. And there's a character in this. It's all written by AI. It's complete nonsense. But there's a character in this Willy Wonka experience that wears a silver mask, has long dark hair and a dark robe, and jumps out and scares children. This character is called the Unknown. It does not appear in any of the Willy Wonka movies. It's not in the books. It's completely made up for this insane, like, raid thing. Yeah. Well, anyway, they're making a movie about it. By the time it comes out, no one will care about the Unknown anymore, I'm pretty sure. But for right now, pretty funny. Like, I'm pretty entertained by the idea. Give me 6 months and I will not care at all. All right, 2 more things. Brian Duffield, the guy who directed Spontaneous, Love and Monsters, wrote both the Babysitter movies, one of my favorites. He is going to be directing a movie adaptation of the 2023 horror book Whale Fall.
Haven't read
Supposedly one of the best horror books of the year. I haven't read it yet either.
Whale Fall?
Whale Fall, one word. And it's about a man, a scuba diver, in search of his deceased father's remains, gets swallowed by an 80-foot, 60-ton sperm whale and has only 1 hour to escape before his oxygen runs out. So a little 47 meters deep, 127 hours. It's a survival type horror movie inside the belly of a sperm whale.
Is his name Jonah?
I don't think so. But yes. But yeah, so it sounds interesting. The book got really good reviews last year, so I'm excited to see this. I might get around to reading it when I finally get around to reading another book, because I take way too long to read books.
Me too. It's on. Well, I take way too long to read paper books because I like to read in bed and I don't have a light, so I have like several books I need to read in paper form. But I just got this on Libby, so I'm pretty excited now. I might start this tonight. I just finished a great book called Kaiju Preservation Society. I think you might like that one.
I just finished a great one you'd like to, called Maeve Fly. It's about a woman who Maeve, Meave, Fly. It's really good. It's a violent, a kind of American Psycho type story. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in her head, but you're not really sure what's happening in real life. It's good stuff. Really.
If you can, just on Slack or something, message me the name of that.
Will do. All right. Last thing, John Carpenter announced a new album and released a new music video. The new album is Lost Themes 4 Noir, and it's him and his son and just doing cool electronic music. And they actually released a video for the first song.
It's awesome.
From that.
Yes.
What's the name of the song?
You can Fright Rags. I think they might still be.
My name is Death.
My name is Death.
Yeah, Fright Rags for $45 is a T-shirt of the single plus a flexi disc of it. So I'm not the biggest fan of flexi discs because they tend to get ruined after the first couple listens. And Sacred Bones right now has a vinyl up for pre-order if anybody's interested in that sort of thing, like I am.
So if you love 80s electronica type music, background horror movie stuff.
But this one had like a really good guitar riff going. Like I like all the music he's done for that series. But yeah, it's all kind of background moody music. This is the first one I was like, oh wow, this really grabs you. This is like a banger.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like if you listen to the theme from In the Mouth of Madness, like that, in my opinion, is just like a fucking heavy metal song that John Carpenter wrote. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. More John Carpenter music. Yes, please.
And there's actually an actress in that. So I was talking to a friend of mine about that. There's one of the actresses in the video. She goes by her stage name is Weiss Blood, Weyes. Yes Blood. Fantastic singer. She got a lot of really good kind of slow, sultry songs. She has one video. I guess it came out in 2019 called "Every Day," and it's literally Friday the 13th music video.
Nice.
Really, and she directed it. She stars in it. She sings it. So just a little plug on that one. Really enjoyed watching that. All right. Anything else, Jody? We good?
That's it. That's all for me.
Okay. Our out of touch dad word for the week. I picked one. I've heard you're going to know the term in general, but we want to talk about how the kids are using it nowadays. So the term, and it kind of relates to this episode, is NPC, which we all know means
non-player character.
Right.
Yes.
But what do you think that means?
I've got this one. I'm good with this one.
Go for it, Jody. I know what it means too, but yeah, go for it.
An NPC in a game is a character who only exists to give quest and be in the background, have no motivation, no real storyline. They're just there for the main player. So an NPC in real life for the kids is somebody who does not matter. They are somebody who's just kind of in the background. They're not. You're not somebody with original thoughts and opinions. You're just kind of there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The definition I found online was someone who cannot think for themselves and or has no or little control of their own life, is ready to agree with popular opinion unquestioningly, and always believes what they are told. i.e., someone who acts robotic.
There we go.
There we go. All
This
right.
one I actually knew. I was happy about that.
All right. And then
So,
our
Oh, nothing. Go ahead.
all right. Our Patreon pit question for the week. Would you rather never lose anything ever again, or find everything you've ever lost all in one place? And when we're talking about losing things, we're talking about like items you lost on the couch or got thrown up. We're not talking about losing bets or losing people, etc. Well, you guys ponder that. 100% of our Patreon said never lose anything ever again.
I'm with that too.
Tommy says, I can't think of anything I've lost in the past that I'm needing now in life.
Yep.
My
Yep.
caveat is that we now
My
have...
thoughts are the same.
Hmm?
My thoughts are the same as Tommy's. Like, if I've already lost it, it's fine. There's nothing I lost, and I'm like, holy shit, I wish I still had that, or I'd die to have that again.
Mhm.
But, I don't want to lose anything I have now.
I'm okay. Except now we have those tile technologies. I put those on everything because I can never
Everything?
find the keys or my wallet.
That's a personal problem, man. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I have an Apple AirTag I throw in my laptop bag for work, so if it's in my trunk of my car and gets stolen, I can track it. But I always know where my keys are at. I always know where my wallet's at. I'm pretty good about that because they're important things I need every day.
I have one AirTag, and it is built into my wallet because I cannot remember to take my wallet when I leave the house sometimes. And so I get places and I have no money or driver's license.
I think being a person that travels for work, like I'm so used to when I leave the house, I check for my wallet, make sure my ID's in there, make sure my credit card's in there. So it's just kind of ingrained in my brain now. But there's definitely a time where I have when my daughter was really little one time, she hid my wallet apparently. And I thought I lost it, so I canceled all my credit cards, canceled my ID, got a new ID, and then she came and handed it to me like a day later because she found it. Where she's like, I found this. I'm like, you found this in your room? Suspicious.
Now, if I could change to everything my kids have ever lost or will ever lose, that's a whole other thing. But I think it'd be cool to see all the stuff that I've lost throughout my life.
Yeah, I go back and forth because I never feel like I lose anything important, but it would be like Christmas to suddenly find 40 years worth of shit that I'd lost.
Well,
kind of like when they dig into the
this,
but you can see all the layers of the years. That'd be kind of like interesting to see. Like,
okay, you say this, but a very important term in this question is everything you've ever lost. So if you lost a banana somewhere when you're like 3 years old, that motherfucker's moldy as shit by now and is coming back, and I have to deal with it.
Real quick, speaking of ice, have you guys watched the last season of True Detective?
No,
I haven't yet.
It's
on my list.
Fantastic. I loved it.
I started Shogun though, and yes,
also on my list.
But but that'll take a while. But this is only 6 episodes, so you can bang right through it.
I'm allowed to like things that aren't things you like, Jason. I'm sure I'll like it. I didn't love the second season of True Detective, but the third one was fantastic, and the first one was fantastic. So
yeah, this is like just a little below the first.
I'm looking forward to watching it.
Okay, and then of course I asked our good friend ChatGPT what it thought. It says, that's an interesting question. It depends on personal preference and lifestyle. If someone is prone to losing things frequently or has a habit of misplacing things often, they might prefer the ability never to lose things again. This would save them time and frustration and constantly searching for lost items. On the other hand, if someone has lost important items in the past that they deeply regret losing, they might prefer the ability to find everything they've ever lost all in one place. This would provide closure and possibly even relief. Ultimately, both options have merit, and the choice would depend on the individual's priorities and past experiences.
So, like, if I chose to find everything I lost in one place, I would just be going to my office and open the door, and then just guitar picks would just fucking fall out. Like a mountain. I just thought that
needed an avalanche.
I never need guitar picks again, but
man, it weirds me out putting like simple questions like that in the ChatGPT and just seeing like.
Do you ever wonder if it's a tortured person who's been in there for 6 months without contact?
See,
that's more eloquent than anything any of us said.
Why I appreciate ChatGPT is when it takes over and AI takes over, it might be like, you know what, those dads from the Crypt guys are all right.
We'll just ask me fun questions.
We'll get to live. We'll just be slaves of the robots. Whatever.
I, for one,
welcome on. I was like, we were all thinking that line, right? About Welcoming our robot overlords.
Welcome our new overlords. Yeah, Ken Brockman.
I mean, couldn't be. Is it really gonna be that much worse than some of the overlords we have now? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
At least, an AI robot wouldn't act on emotion or religion. So, as far as laws go, so I'd be okay. I'd be kind of okay with that. Unless they're like Bender, that may be different.
All right, we're
hey, if Bender was real and took over the world, like there'd be just blackjack and hookers and liquor everywhere.
And as you call it. All right, let's wrap up with some dad advice. What do we got?
You know, I had something. Yeah, I forgot it, so it's fine. Oh, I was listening to
I got one.
I'll go for it. Go for it, Jody.
No, you go first. You go first.
Nope, absolutely not. Go for it.
Okay, so this is a small piece of dad advice that actually was stuff that I picked up from my own dad. I had a flat tire this week, and I was able to pull over to the side of the road and sit down beside my car and change it and put the spare tire on and drive it up to the mechanic. You should know how to change a tire, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Everyone should know how to do that. It's very useful information. You will eventually encounter it either yourself or somebody else who needs help. Also, learn to jump a car if you don't know how to do that. These are basics. I'm not a car guy. I don't know shit about what actually happens in the engine, but I know how to change a tire. I know how to jump a car. I can get the basics, get me moving again.
And now with the internet, it can teach you how to do pretty much everything. Right. So if you have to jump a car and you've never done it before, don't listen to your friend who's like, oh yeah, I've done it a million times, because they probably have, and they're just trying to say they have. So I had a long story about a guy I was driving one time to work, stopped at the store to grab something for lunch, and this guy asked me to jump his car. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So let's park next to him. So he just takes his jumper cables and starts like hooking onto the batteries wrong, and it's sparking everywhere. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I said, get away from my car. Give me the jumper cables. Like, I know how to do this. He goes, this is how you do it. I'm like, no, this is not how you do it, because you put one on the ground, one on the positive, and he was. So I was pretty perturbed. Also, it's changing a tire too. Depending on what car you have, it's all going to be a little bit different. Especially in modern cars with lighter weight bodies, where you put the jack is actually very important, because when you jack it up, if it's in the wrong spot and you've got the hand motion going up and down, it'll kind of like put a little dent there into your chassis. And you don't want that to happen. No one likes a little dent in their chassis. But if you have an old car, like I used to have, like my old van, my 79 van, you could jack that fucking thing up from the bumper. It didn't care.
Oh, yeah.
But if I got into an accident, like people are like, they don't make cars like that anymore. Yeah, because cars were designed for you to take the impact and the car to be okay. Now they're designed the opposite, for the car to take the impact and your body to be okay.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, your car might get more fucked up, but guess what? You can replace a car.
Yeah.
Can't replace a person. Well, unless you take their brain out of their head, skull, and put it into something else, and maybe you can replace a person.
Put it into Echo.
There's something that happened in Jody's life recently with his daughter winning gold medal in a karate tournament. And one thing I see a lot, and this is just kind of goes to if you're a parent involved in sports and your kids are in sports, and I'll ask Jody this question because I bet you already know the answer. Do you ever go and just sit in on the karate classes, just listening or just hanging out? Do you ever just start yelling advice to your kids?
Never.
And why is that?
Because that's a terrible thing to do when you're sitting in a classroom.
Yes, and also you don't know as much as a professor does.
You do not. Yeah,
like you just don't. And your kid probably knows more than you do too. No offense, but they train, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're a parent and you're at a sporting event or you're watching your kids practice, whether it be martial arts or football or lacrosse, whatever, we have a lacrosse team now here in Vegas. And I met the dog mascot, so I'm in. He came to our booth at our World Game Convention, and I was like, I know it says "Do not pet" on that vest. I'm staring at the dog, and the lady looks at me. She goes, "Do you want to pet him?" I was like, "Mm-hmm." That fucking dog over here. But don't shout advice. The coaches are there for a reason. The coaches are there to help mold the kids and tell them what they want to do, and to be the disciplinarian in a way. The only time I would say it's okay for you to discipline your children in a sporting event is once they get to that age of like 15, 16, when they're trying to be competitive and they're just fucking around. And at that point, they are your problem. But for the most part, let the coaches do their jobs. One of my old instructors, Jerry, always had a mentality: is if you're a parent and you want to coach your kids over me, there's an extra gi, throw it on and come on the mats, and you have to roll with me.
Yeah,
because you're obviously know more than I do. So, and it's also not good for your kids too, because then it's just like. And another thing is too is in competition. Like, granted, Jody's daughter's a world beater. Your kids are gonna lose. They're gonna be down on themselves. Your job as a parent, like you should never get upset if your kids lose. Like it's just part of sports. It's part of competition, and the fact they're going out there and doing it should be a reward enough. And a lot of times I notice when kids lose, they're even more down on themselves than adults are because they have aspirations and dreams of doing certain things. And to any youngsters listening out there, hopefully you're not that young listening to this, but no one gives a shit if you lose karate matches or jiu-jitsu matches at 15, because there are plenty of people who didn't win a match till they were 25 and then became world champions. So don't ever, like I've been to jiu-jitsu competitions and seen people like yelling at their kids for losing a match. And I'm just like, that's not okay, man. That's just like this poor kid is now going to compete out of fear of you, not because they for love of the game or love of the event. So
I mean, I still remember being a kid playing sports and there being parents out there. Specific, like I remember specific kids whose parents would yell at them the entire time, and I'm like, that's just miserable. Like miserable for everybody.
It's like going to UFC shows back in the day. People would always yell out terrible advice to fighters. Like you couldn't knee someone on the ground, but everyone would be yelling knee, and I'm like, he'll get fucking disqualified if he does that. Besides, why are you yelling things to fighters? And a fighter, Chris Lieben, when they asked him about what the worst part of losing a fight is, he goes, losing is all part of this sport. He goes, and losing the money sucks. He goes, but the worst part is going to the gas station to get a soda and having the clerk tell me what I should have done to win that fight. Jeez. So, and the same thing goes for kids, man. Like, just and also don't yell at other people's kids. Like, don't be a dick at kids' sporting events. These are children trying to enjoy themselves and learn how to learn sportsmanship and camaraderie. And you do, and at no point is your shitty comment going to be like change the outcome of the game. At no point is going to make anybody feel better about themselves. So fucking just shut your mouth, cheer your kid on, be like, yeah, excited for him, but don't be critical.
Yeah, Elliot is going to do Little League this year, so we went to
nice.
opening day ceremony, and they had the parents do a pledge, and I just brought it up so I can read it to you guys. The Little League parent pledge is: I will teach all kids to play fair and do their best. I will positively support all managers, coaches, and players. I will respect the decisions of the umpires. I will praise a good effort despite the outcome of the game. So,
yeah,
compared to what I've seen some parents doing, I'm down for that as another option.
So out of curiosity, was there obviously some dads there that were like the super macho sports dads, like basically dressed in his baseball uniform from Little League himself?
I mean, this is an opening thing. There wasn't any actual competition, but you could hear the parents kind of grinning and smirking when they made us repeat that. It was pretty funny.
Some dude chewing tobacco, like, I'll tell my kid whatever I want to tell him.
Right. But, at least the Little League itself is recognizing that. So
nice.
If you're a Little League parent and you wear cleats to the games, like, just stop going to the games.
Stop. You're not playing.
I guess I should go. Okay, guys, I need to go to the store and do some returns.
Get some cleats. Get a headband, like a Jim McMahon style headband, or a batting glove.
Bring my own baseball glove.
Yeah,
I'm just here. I'm ready. I'm ready just in case they need to put me in.
I just go tell the coach, be like, my birth certificate says I'm 7. If you ever watch like the Little League World Series, they introduce the players and they tell them like their favorite sports. That's why some guys like, my name's Reggie. My favorite movie is Dead Presidents. I'm 7 years old. Like, it always happens, dude. Especially like from Latin American countries. Like, this kid's like 6'3" and like 220 and ripped to shreds. Like, I don't think he's 12 years old. and it's a joke, but a lot of times they find out later on that, oh yeah, they have this 25-year-old minor league player on their fucking team. Unit 2.
All right, well, that wraps up another episode. One more plug is that we're all 3 of us going to be on a future episode of the How Not to Make a Movie podcast with our friend Alan Gill. talking about 5 movies and 2 songs we want if we were stuck on a desert island. So please check their podcast for that. Next week, we will be reviewing Scare Package 2, Rad Chad's Revenge. I, for one, am excited.
Remember, Jason seems so upset to potentially watch something fun.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Just hurts you.
What's that name, Rad Chad?
God damn.
No, I'm actually, now that I've recalibrated myself for that series, I'm interested. So
I think we almost bullied you into recalibrating at this point.
I guess I'm just an NPC.
You're just Jason, you're just a basic bitch. I'm sorry.
Basic bitch.
I love you're what is it, mid? Is that what the kids say?
Mid.
Oh, podcasters are so mid.
I've learned so much.
I know, dude. Like, I'm just gonna drop this lingo in everyday life just to annoy my family.
All right. We appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate if you give us a rating or review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify. Check out our YouTube for videos of these podcasts. And check us out on Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. With that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Adios. Dads from the Crypt Talk sounds so dirty. Like, I don't know. Like, just something about the way it rolls off the tongue that sounds dirty.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.